All right, so let's talk about cell division and mitosis. Interphase is the first phase of it, and it's the phase where the cells will spend a lot of their lifetime because they're growing and they're replicating their DNA and they're making proteins and things that they need to split. Um, so it's sometimes called the resting phase, but they're not resting. They're doing a lot of stuff during this phase, okay? And let's write DNA right here. And let's write chromatin. And I'm going to tell you about the chromatins and what they do, okay? So the chromatins are going to spread out and they're going to divide, or they're going to spread out in the nucleus during this phase, and they're going to thin out. And they do that so it's easier for them to replicate, okay? So they're doing all this, and when they get the signal to divide, then they're going to compress back down into chromosomes. Okay, and when they compress back down into chromosomes, then that's when prophase begins, okay? So prophase, or pro, means before. So let's underline this and write before. And that's because it's the first phase, okay? All right, so the chromosome, or the chromatin have compressed down into chromosomes, and they're going to line up. So let's write chromosomes line up. And you guys see these little things at the bottom around the nucleus that look like they're just starting, these little things? These are called spindle fibers. And spindle fibers, they appear during this phase as well. Okay, so the spindle fibers form, and the nuclear membrane, this part, it's going to break down because it's going to go away during this next two phases, okay? So let's talk about metaphase. Meta means after, so let's underline meta and put after. Okay, so the chromosomes, they're going to all line up here in the middle. That's what these things are that look like X's. These are your chromosomes. They're all lined up in the middle of the cell at the center. And the spindle fibers are going to thin these things out, these chromosomes. They're going to thin them and pull them to the ends, pull them to both sides of the cell, I guess I should say. Okay, and that's going to begin anaphase. You guys can write separate right here if you want. Well, let's wait and write separate right here because that's really where that happens. Okay, so during anaphase, the fibers pull on the chromosomes and the chromosomes begin to separate. That's what this picture is. These are chromosomes and these are chromosomes that have separated. Okay, they're pulled to the opposite ends of the cell by the spindle fibers to get ready for telophase, which is this phase, the next phase. Telophase is where the new nuclear membranes are going to form, and the cell's going to begin to divide. See how it's kind of like a different shape? See how this one's round, this one kind of gets oval, this one kind of gets more oval. That's because it's going to begin to separate. All right, so telophase, and then after telophase is cytokinesis. Cytokinesis is the division of the cell's cytoplasm, which is everything that's around the nucleus. It doesn't include the nucleus, though, okay? Let's go back right here, and let's write two nuclei because they're going to have two separate nuclei. Sorry, I should have told you guys to do that. Okay, so we're starting to separate the cell cytoplasm in cytokinesis. And the cell becomes two new cells with separate nuclei in this phase. At the end of cytokinesis, you're going to have two genetically identical daughter cells, okay? And each one of those cells is going to have a copy of the DNA in it. And then it goes back into interphase, which is this step, and it just repeats the process over and over and over. And that's how your cells grow. It's how your body grows. It's how it repairs itself. So, does anybody have any questions that they want to ask about it? Or anything that I can explain further for you guys? Okay. So what I want you guys to do, Miss Orr has printed off a worksheet. She's going to give you a worksheet looks like this.
Yep, there you go. There's blank copy.
And I want you guys to take this picture that we just talked about. And this side of it is a hand-drawn side. So this side may look more like the pictures in your book, okay? So I want you to match up what phase is in each one of these pictures, okay? And then if you'll turn it over on the other side, this side is more of like a real life situation. So it may be harder to look at these pictures and get these answers, but Miss Orr can explain more to you about that, okay? Does anybody have any questions? All right, well, I appreciate you guys giving me the time to do this, okay? Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am.